welcome to ETEducation's Leadership Discussions in association with Coursera. Today, we'll delve into a crucial conversation on advancing higher education in India, a landscape undergoing rapid transformation driven by digital innovation, industry collaboration, and the growing demand for future-ready skills. Joining us for this discussion are two distinguished speakers, Dhruv Galgotia, Chief Executive Officer, Galgotias Education Group, and Prashasti, Rastogi, Senior Director, Coursera, India. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's start the conversation by understanding the key goals or trends that, Dhruv, you are seeing shaping the higher education sector.
Thank you, Shilpa, for the question, and thank you for having me here. To be honest, when I was touring the country and looking at studying higher education universities, especially those which were very highly ranked and had all the accreditations and all the rankings and the stars and the diamonds and all the glitter, I was actually disappointed. And even when I looked at my classrooms, I was a bit ashamed to see the way teaching learning was happening in many of the higher education universities, including us. What I saw was the traditional model of rote learning, where professors were giving a monologue and students were passively listening and taking notes. Most of them were busy on their mobile phones besides the first two rows. And it was more towards memorization, anticipating when they will clear the next exam. The only stress was making sure that the attendance is enough to give the next exam. And this whole system is no longer relevant for our students of the 21st century. And they don't want to learn this way. And this was taught decades ago, and this needed a big disruption in the Indian ecosystem of teaching and learning. And what we did was we wanted to end this rote learning concept and just simply reproducing what you've memorized, right? Because this was killing creativity, this was killing critical thinking. There was no experiential learning in any of this. And today, our students live in a digital, fast-paced, and a more interconnected world. And what we saw was that at Galgotias University, we wanted to take a holistic approach to this. And it was not just about upgrading the infrastructure, which we did at a large scale. It was more about changing the mindsets of our faculty. So what we did was, the hunt was on for a long time, and we went about looking at, we could not find any model in India to emulate. So we went looking overseas, and what we saw there was a department called Inspire at NTU, which is the Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. And what they essentially helped us do was completely transform the teaching learning ecosystem in our university.
Dhruv, it is fantastic to see you've invested so much in implementing a systemic change. Inspirational to see your efforts in matching up to global standards in order to give your students the best opportunities to excel in the modern world. I'll take it across to Prashasti.
Thank you. Thank you, Shilpa. Inspiring comments by Dr. Dhruv. Very nice to hear that Indian education system has come such a long way from when I went to college. If I put my Coursera hat on and I look across the 2,400 institutions that we serve in over 92 countries, there are three trends that stand across all the institutions. And I can correlate with what Dr. Dhruv was also sharing. There's a rising demand for collaboration. They're saying, where is the knowledge ecosystem sitting? Can we collaborate for a scalable, credit-eligible content that we can share? So it's a knowledge ecosystem that's coming in. Second demand is coming back from what students are doing. Students are saying, we would like to have career readiness as the graduation outcome, which means I need to learn from the industry right when I am in my academic program. And we surveyed about 86% of students today decide on which degree to enroll into, basis whether that degree offers industry exposure or not. And third trend, which is from the past 2 years, is how to incorporate the capabilities of generative AI into a hyper-personalized learning system within the higher education system. You know, there are advances in Gen AI which are enabling AI education, plus they're enabling teachers to empower themselves and create hyper-personalized, skill-based pathways for an individual student. So how can we incorporate that in our learning system? So this is what we are seeing majorly happening across all institutions globally.
Thank you, Prashasti, for that. Those three trends: rising demand for collaboration, career readiness demand from students, and incorporating Gen AI capabilities. Thanks for summing that up. Now, taking it across to Dr. Dhruv, we're seeing that digital learning, industry micro credentials, and hands-on experiences are now essential in higher education. How are you at Galgotias University evolving to keep pace and equip students with job-ready skills?
I think there were some very important points mentioned by Prashasti, and especially relating to Gen AI. And what we are doing is working on a two-front approach. One is that we've in fact recently launched an artificial intelligence and data science building, where we are opening centers of excellence, which are by the industry and going to be exposed to most of the students of our university, where they will be trained by industry experts in various domains of artificial intelligence. So machine learning, cybersecurity. For example, Wipro has just signed an MOU with us for cybersecurity. We have the iOS development center powered by Apple and Infosys in our campus. And this is the third cohort which is being trained by the Apple and Infosys people. And we're on the verge of launching a couple of apps which are going to go live on the Apple platform. And these are all students' ideas, and now they are becoming reality by the third year. So it's all a very practical approach. And, aligning with the industry helps graduates become more employable because they are already solving problems that are being addressed by the industry and are very much prevalent in the market that they're going to be going to. The second aspect is when it comes to Gen AI and technology in classrooms is that we are using a lot of AI tools which create individual learning paths for students. When our faculty teachers, they are using softwares like WooClap and Padlet, where there's a QR code displayed, and the students, instead of being on social media on phones, are scanning that QR code and getting a questionnaire. And when they answer the questions, the faculty knows on the spot in a live classroom how the class is performing with respect to the correct and incorrect answers. So instead of an end of the year or end of the semester feedback, a faculty can calibrate the session as they are teaching.
Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Dhruv. It's great to see your institution embracing AI proactively and the continuous adoption at that. I'll take it across to Prashasti. Prashasti, how do you view this evolution? And you also mentioned that students have that demand for career readiness. So how are you viewing the evolution?
Generative AI is also coming in as one of the core skills that are required by the industry. If you look at the World Economic Forum data, which came out a couple of weeks ago, and you look at core skills 2030, which means the number of employers who are asking for AI and big data skills as core skills and not advanced skills is on the rise. It's almost 100% employers who will be considering AI and big data as core skills. Students have concerns regarding these new expectations from the employers. So we surveyed a bunch of students, and about 72% students relayed back that it's the responsibility of the higher education institution to make their curriculum so agile that they're able to incorporate every development in AI that is coming into the market or is coming in the process of the industry back into their degree. So they're expecting their faculty to be upskilled at the same level as industry. They're expecting their classrooms to deliver exactly the same level of understanding as the industry has. 55% of the students reported a concern that their current degrees are not doing that, right? So there's a little bit of a concern from the student side, and they are expecting real-time market parity, which in an ideal world, in a higher education institution, has been a challenge. Because by the time the curriculum is fixed, the right faculty is in place, the industry has already moved on to new processes based on the research and development, which is a continuous process, or disruptive technologies such as generative AI. That's where adoption of technology into education comes in. How can you create scalable, career-aligned degrees and make the curriculums agile within the framework of an institution without a time lag? And we've seen this happen at various institutions who deploy Coursera for campus. Coursera has about 125 industry partners who are constantly creating role-aligned pathways and role-aligned certifications on Coursera. They get embedded for credit into the degree programs of the students. They also use the virtual labs, the cloud-based labs that Coursera has to attempt the real-world problems. And since it's part of the degree architecture, you can actually use it as Lego bricks and update it the moment there is a change in the industry. And generative AI is one of the examples. Mechanical engineers today need to understand coding. Mechanical engineers today wanting to work in the manufacturing industry need to understand AI and robotics. Civil engineers today need to understand smart city processes, green energy deployment, and sustainability and ESG principles. How do you incorporate that real time? So computer science, while it evolved as a discipline, it is now a core skill and will continue to grow to be a core skill across all branches of study. MBA students want to have careers in product management. So they need to understand analytics and growth and need to have a very strong number crunching ability. All these horizontal skills should sit in curriculums across disciplines, making it very interdisciplinary and industry ready. And that's where the role of technology comes in.
So interdisciplinary, industry ready. So agile curriculum and AI as core skills. That's the order of the day. So bridging the skills gap, Dr. Dhruv, as industries rapidly evolve, the gap between academic learning and workforce needs is growing. What strategies can help align education with industry demands and better prepare students for the future, which is already here?
The first thing we have to do is remove the silos between departments, and we have to be we have to have a more multidisciplinary approach. At Galgotias, we are trying to eliminate those barriers. What we've also done is taken some strategic initiatives. Like we have combined the labs of several departments so that the students, when they are working on projects, can speak to each other, learn from each other. Also, what we've done is we've aligned every single lab to an industry. So what happens is that we get real-time guidance from the industry experts when they visit our university, whether physically or remotely, so that the curriculum is aligned to exactly as per the latest requirements, and also the guidance of a know-how of operating the latest softwares, simulations are all available and given to the students for the right exposure.
Absolutely. A multidisciplinary approach by breaking down silos is essential. Taking this back to Prashasti. Prashasti, how do you see the effort to bridge the skills gap?
I think the efforts are quite phenomenal that are happening. But I think the concern that always remains is how do we reach each and every student in the higher education ecosystem, right? How to make it scalable. And coming from a tech background, we always think about affordability, scale, and outcomes. right? That's always the primary objective. So for example, Galgotias University is doing this phenomenal work, but there are only 27% of citizens in the higher education enrollment ratio in this country, which means there are a lot of learners who are not having the access of this kind of education. How can Galgotia University bring them also into their fold by offering new programs which are scalable in a fast and cost-efficient manner? And that can be done through online learning. So if online degrees becomes a norm, this becomes possible. And it has to be obviously industry aligned at the same time, because you don't want to produce educated, underemployed workforce. You want to give them the jobs that they are studying for. And at the same time, the universities have to be conscious about growing their rankings, considering their brand perception also increases. So doing all of this in a scalable and cost-efficient way can happen if technology is seamlessly integrated into the teaching learning process. The very DNA of education is designed with the thought of technology. It shouldn't be reverse engineered. Like I have a degree program, okay, let me stuff some technology into it to make it accessible and career ready. Can I create the DNA of a degree, which is pure online in nature? Students break the barriers of classrooms, experiential learning happens, students are able to do on-demand learning. Teachers are able to assess on demand. So it doesn't have to be a pen and paper test. On Coursera platform, we have AI-based question generators where faculty can produce question papers for any amount of learning outcomes with the ability of AI, which is programmed on the Coursera pedagogy. And that allows so much of continuous assessment, on-demand assessment, anytime assessment. And all these facilities together can create a very, very conducive learning environment. And the beauty is, if a classroom of 120 has 120 grade of skill sets, it's possible to tailor it to the power of one. And I think that is where the future is headed. And happy to be a spectator of higher education and observe all these wonderful experiments come to life.
That we wrap up this conversation. Thank you for that, Prashasti. It's heartwarming to see the passion from leading educators such as you and Dr. Dhruv. And once again, big thank you to the two of us for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.